Good morning, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. It's Wednesday, November 19th, 2025, and this is your AM Update.
As far as the Epstein Files I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein.
In a major shift from just days ago, the House and Senate passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act with President Trump's blessing. Will the president sign it? The Saudi Crown Prince visits the White House as President Trump aims to redefine U.S. ties with the powerful Mideast country.
Churches have been burned, families have been torn apart, and entire communities live in fear.
Rapper Nicki Minaj, at the invitation of Mr. Trump's UN ambassador, speaks out against the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. Nigeria's government says there's no anti-Christian bias. Congressman Riley Moore of West Virginia tells AM Update that's flatly untrue. All that and more coming up in just a moment on your AM Update. Do doctors have Black Friday sales? Do they? It's a good question. The doctors at Brick House Nutrition do. They just announced their Black Friday 30% off sale. That's their biggest of the year. The most impressive health and nutrition products in the industry are now 30% off. Like Lean, the doctor-formulated weight loss supplement for people who want to lose meaningful weight without injections. And 30% off Creatone, creatine designed just for women to help you look leaner, in shape, and toned without extra dieting or exercise. Even 30% off Field of Greens, a super fruit and vegetable drink they say was shown in a university study to actually slow aging. Yes, every Brick House product from Better Sleep to Superior Collagen is 30% off. But hurry, because these Black Friday deals go fast. Visit brickhousesale.com and save 30%. That's brickhousesale.com. One more time, brickhousesale.com. The House and then the Senate yesterday passing the Epstein Files Transparency Act, compelling the Department of Justice to release all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in its possession, with limited exceptions, including information identifying witnesses and child sex abuse material. After months of resistance that ran all the way into last week from President Donald Trump and House GOP leadership, Mr. Trump earlier this week changing his stance entirely, saying, quote, "We have nothing to hide," and calling on the House to pass the bill in an effort to move on from the issue. This after a major campaign from a few GOP representatives like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. Yesterday, now with the president's blessing, the House passing the measure 427-1. Shortly thereafter, the Senate unanimously passing the bill, now sending it to the president's desk for signature. Congressman Clay Higgins of Louisiana, a Republican, the only dissenting House vote. Mr. Higgins posting his reasoning to X, quote, "If enacted in its current form, this type of broad reveal of criminal investigative files released to a rabid media will absolutely result in innocent people being hurt." House Speaker Mike Johnson yesterday morning calling the petition hastily written, outlining numerous concerns with the legislation.
As drafted, the discharge petition, it fails to fully protect victim privacy. It can be used to unmask victims who have chosen to remain anonymous. Because it requires the DOJ to release information even in cases where the DOJ or the FBI has already reviewed it and determined it is not credible. The discharge in its current form fails to prohibit the release of child sexual abuse materials. We've got to make sure that we disclose the names of anybody who aided or conspired in any way with Jeffrey Epstein. But at the same time, you've got to make sure that innocent people are protected.
Speaker Johnson attempting to convince Senate colleagues to offer amendments addressing his concerns, but failing. Senate Majority Leader John Thune telling reporters, quote, "When a bill passes the House 427-1 and the president says he'll sign it into law, I'm not sure there's going to be a need for or a desire for an amendment process over here." Over at the White House, President Trump asked about why he's waiting for Congress to vote on the issue rather than simply ordering the files released himself.
It's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. As far as the Epstein Files I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein Files.
Over the weekend, President Trump directing Attorney General Pam Bondi to open a probe into Epstein's Democrat ties. Some warning that move could allow the DOJ to withhold certain materials, since documents tied to an active investigation cannot be released. The DOJ previously releasing thousands of documents to the House Oversight Committee in connection with its investigation into Epstein. Oversight also obtaining some 30,000 documents from the Epstein estate directly. On Monday, President Trump saying he will sign legislation that comes to his desk requiring Epstein Files disclosure. Exactly when that will happen is unclear. President Trump yesterday welcoming Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the de facto leader of his government, to the White House for the first time since 2018. The prince becoming an international pariah following the 2018 murder of Saudi critical journalist Jamal Khashoggi at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. MBS was appointed Crown Prince in June 2017, a 2018 CIA assessment concluding the murder of Khashoggi was ordered by MBS. The prince denying involvement, though accepting responsibility for the killing as the head of his government. Under the Biden administration, the Saudis largely getting the cold shoulder. President Biden in 2022 coming under intense criticism for offering a fist bump to the Crown Prince during a trip to the country. President Trump taking a different approach, instead seeking to stabilize relations in the Middle East, including with the powerful oil-rich nation through business deals and investment opportunities. MBS hoping for progress on a deal for Saudi access to a civilian nuclear program, AI technology, and a possible Saudi security agreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. Earlier this year, on a visit to Saudi Arabia, President Trump securing the country's $600 billion investment in the U.S. Following yesterday's warm reception, including a military flyover, the Prince and Mr. Trump taking questions in the Oval Office. MBS announcing a significant increase in the planned Saudi investments in America.
Today and tomorrow we're going to announce that we are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas.
The Saudis controversial not only due to the Khashoggi killing, but also due to 9/11. MBS was only 15 when the attacks occurred, but the 9/11 families still seeking accountability. 15 of the 19 hijackers came from Saudi Arabia, against whom the 9/11 families have an ongoing legal case. That case in August was finally given the go-ahead for trial by a federal district judge. As Mr. Trump extends an olive branch to the Saudis, some reporters offering tough questions, like this one from ABC.
And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office.
Who are you with? Who are you?
Why should Americans trust
Who are you with?
And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news, ABC fake news. One of the
But the
worst.
question is
One of the
legitimate,
worst
sir.
in the business. As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Despite criticism in a sign of thawed relations, President Trump last night hosting a formal dinner in honor of the prince. Coming up, rapper Nicki Minaj speaks out against the persecution of Christians in Nigeria and thanks President Trump. When customers are walking through the aisles of their local Walmart, they are not just picking up groceries or supplies, they are supporting American businesses and their communities. The real story is what's behind the label. With over 2/3 of the products Walmart buys made, grown, or assembled right here in the U.S., buying local is not just stocking shelves, it's about strengthening communities. Because of that commitment, Walmart invested $350 billion in U.S. manufacturing, helping American companies like Fisher and Weezer Specialty Foods, that's a local Texas business, expand their operations in Fredericksburg, Texas, to hire more people and bring their Texas-grown peach jam to a national market. Their story is just one example of how Walmart's U.S. manufacturing investment is supporting over 750,000 American jobs. Businesses across the country are empowered to sell more, hire more, and help their communities grow. From farms to factories to final shopping carts, Learn how Walmart is fueling the future of U.S. manufacturing at walmart.com/America at work. Rapper Nicki Minaj joining forces with the Trump administration to shine a light on the plight of Christians in Nigeria, who reportedly face attacks from Islamic extremist groups. President Trump reigniting the issue earlier this month, declaring Nigeria a country of particular concern, a legal designation finding a country, quote, engages in or tolerates particularly severe violations of religious freedom. The designation allowing the State Department to impose penalties on the Nigerian government, including cutting U.S. aid and blocking U.S. loans. Minaj expressing gratitude for the president's initiative on social media, then subsequently speaking at the UN yesterday at the invitation of UN Ambassador Mike Waltz.
It is an honor to stand on this stage to shine a spotlight on the deadly threat faced by thousands of Christians in Nigeria. I would like to thank President Trump for prioritizing this issue and calling for urgent action to defend Christians in Nigeria, to combat extremism, and to bring a stop to violence against those who simply want to exercise their natural right to freedom of religion or belief. Faith is under attack. Churches have been burned. Families have been torn apart. And entire communities live in fear constantly, simply because of how they pray. This isn't about taking sides. This is about standing up in the face of injustice.
It was quite a change of role for Minaj, who's known for hits like Anaconda, in which she sings about the, quote, real country ass N-word who let her, quote, play with his rifle, adding her, quote, P-word put his ass to sleep, and now he calls me NyQuil. Her latest turn is a good one, however, as she is hugely popular, with about 229 million followers on Instagram alone, and she has sold over 100 million records. An August report by the International Society for Civil Liberties and the Rule of Law, finding in the first 7 months of this year in Nigeria, more than 7,000 Christians were killed. Between 2009 and 2023, that group estimating at least 52,000 Christians killed, and more than 20,000 schools and churches attacked. We spoke with Republican Congressman Riley Moore of West Virginia, a leading advocate in Congress on the issue, and the lawmaker tasked by President Trump with compiling a full report on the atrocities occurring in Nigeria.
Just so happens to have everything to do with Christians and these Muslim militants. If it were not religiously motivated, why would they be burning down and destroying churches, burning people alive in churches, obviously to make a statement on all of this? So it is very targeted. The ratios that and the facts that we've gotten off the ground, the ratio is about 5 to 1. 5 to 1 Christians to 1 of every non-Christians that is being killed in Nigeria right now. And around the world, of all the Christians who are murdered for their faith, 70% of them are in the country of Nigeria right now.
The congressman describing the key groups responsible for perpetuating the violence.
And then there's a lot of complexity to this, but in kind of broad brushstrokes, what's happening here is that this has been going on since 2009, really the rise of Boko Haram. And now you have Boko Haram, IS West Africa, ISIS affiliated, and then you have this Fulani tribe, which is in the middle band of the country. So you have a lot of Christians being murdered and martyred in the middle band of the country. It's really where about 80% of the attacks at this point are taking place. We've seen how they operate, kind of Al-Qaeda, ISIS affiliated groups that are trying to take territory, create caliphate. Only people standing in the way of that objective are Christians, so they are trying to wipe them out. Since 2009, estimates range between 50,000 of upward over 100,000 Christians have been murdered for the profession of their faith, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
The president of Nigeria denying accusations of anti-Christian bias, saying, quote, the characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality, nor does it take into consideration the consistent and sincere efforts of the government to safeguard freedom of religion and beliefs for all Nigerians. Congressman Moore strongly disagrees.
That could not be further from the truth. And all the organizations we talk to on the ground, I contradict that statement in totality. And I get the position President Tinubu is in, where he's trying to strike this balance But it's very clear that they have not been protecting the Christians. I'll give you a great example. Earlier this month, there was a pastor who said, "We are an imminent threat. We are going to be attacked. Nigerian government, please come help us." The Nigerian government not only did not show up to help them or protect them, they actually issued a statement saying that this was hyperbole, it's overblown, this is fake news, nothing's going to happen. Within 24 hours, that pastor and 10 of his congregants were murdered. That is what's going on here.
Moore says Nigeria's federal government controls security deployment and has simply not made the protection of Christian communities a priority, but has allowed extremist groups to operate freely.
The Fulani tribe are Sunni Muslims, and they are radical extremists, and they're able to operate with impunity in this. So in Nigeria, it is illegal for any citizen to bear arms, not like our country. But I guess, for whatever, if you are an Islamic extremist, like these Fulani militants, you're allowed to have weapons. And so they are all armed. All the Christians are unarmed in this.
The stakes of Congressman Moore's report are high. President Trump posting to Truth Social earlier this month, quote, "If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities." More here on the report.
We're going to let the facts drive our conclusions. And so we're going to get to the bottom of it, which is what President Trump has asked me to do. And we are going to provide him a report that has ground truth from our perspective here in the legislative branch. So we can lay out to the president the ground truth of exactly what is going on there. And then the president is going to make decisions.
The report expected to come out in December. And that'll do it for your AM update. I'm Megyn Kelly. Join me back here for the MK Show live on SiriusXM's The Megyn Kelly Channel, 111 at noon East, on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and on all podcast platforms.